Welcome to the Survive, Scale, Soar podcast. Hear and learn through the success of others how to build the life and business you deserve. Learn to overcome failure, what it means to seek out growth, and how to become the best possible version of yourself. And now, here's your host, coach, entrepreneur, husband and father, and author of the #1 best-selling book, Survive, Scale, Soar, Jeremy Williams.
And welcome back. This is Jeremy Williams, and you're tuning in to the Survive, Scale, Soar podcast, the podcast for the entrepreneur built by entrepreneurs. Today, I have an amazing guest, Joel Staley. Joel Staley is an entrepreneur and fat loss expert who has improved the lives of thousands of people around the world. His unique method of fasting combined with overall balance has proven to be the sustainable missing puzzle piece many have been searching for. The show today is a conversation about approach to health and fitness that is getting people results. And before we get started with our guest, a quick reminder, today's episode moves you, makes you think differently, makes you laugh, or you know it may help someone. Be sure to share. And welcome, Joel, to the show. How are you doing today?
Couldn't be better, Jeremy. Thanks for having me.
So, Joel, you own a fitness company that focuses a lot on fasting, and we're going to dive into that today and about getting to your optimal health. And before we jump into that, though, I just want to get your perspective of how are people, especially in the United States, but even throughout the world, how is health becoming more of a focus than it has in the past? Like, what's happening there?
Well, that's a big one. I think mental health and actual health are both two things you have to be aware of right now, and they kind of coincide with another. Seems like if you're just ingesting a bunch of negative stuff about what's going on in the world, then you're drinking at night and getting into the kids' Lucky Charms and sleeping in, and then your health starts to suffer, which doesn't help with the mental health aspect. So it's like a revolving door. So I found that getting your physical health in shape naturally boosts your energy. You start feeling confident about yourself. You start feeling some of that like self-confidence of achieving something and getting a certain result, and seeing that you can't control everything going on in the entire world around you over in Ukraine or like what have you, but you can start by taking control of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, the habits you're forming, the food you're putting in your mouth, the people you're surrounding yourself with, etc. So I think that it's really the first step of a much larger journey is getting your physical health in balance.
So you have people out there, maybe they've tried different programs or the 21-day fix, the 7-day. And a lot of these don't develop habits. So people will do them for a period of time, and then they fall off the wagon. They gain all the weight back. They're exactly back to where they were before, or maybe even worse. Do you find that in the health world with a lot of the things that are being offered that they just don't work?
I think everything works while you do it, but that's the problem I have with people that come to me and they think that it's just that they need to ingrain the habit of only desiring baked chicken and vegetables, and that's not a realistic goal, especially if you are like a family man or a business owner and you like to eat good food. So like everything, I personally go through a lot of ebbs and flows in life with my diet, with my training, with my business, where there's times I can really hit the accelerator and there's times that I have a tougher time. Like we were just talking, I just had twins. So it's hard to be 100% on business, on diet, on working out, on literally everything. However, what you need and what I really like about fasting is you're finally able to fight fire with fire. So instead of being able to gain 10 pounds over a weekend, but it takes you 3 months to lose that 10 pounds. So it's like essentially you're trying to mow your lawn with scissors. At least now you have a fast way to attack it where you can say, oh, the scale's up a little bit. I need to throw in a 24 or 48 hour fast and I'm right back in the game.
Yeah, and we'll dive into that specifically about what the fasting does. But I want to go back to, is it a choice that somebody has to make? So I know you probably talk to people all the time. They come to you and they say, Joel, I'm ready to make a change. And I remember even doing the interview with one of your guys, and he said, we're not even going to keep going on the phone call unless you're like ready to make a change. Like, I don't want to take your money. It's going to be waste your time. Just don't do it. You've got to be ready to make the change. Do you find that those that come to you that say, yes, Joel, I'm ready, like I've hit rock bottom, are more successful than those that are just kind of dipping their toe in the water?
Well, people usually don't get on a phone call until they've hit rock bottom, it seems like, whether that's actual rock bottom or in their mind rock bottom from what they're comparing themselves to. But especially as guys, we tend to have a pretty big ego and we think we can do it ourselves. And if we really just buckle down and get serious, this will be the time it sticks. So it's not until, if you have like 10 pounds to lose, a lot of people will just say, no, I'm going to buckle down. But it's not until like your kid grabs your boob and is like, I thought mommy had boobies, not daddy's. And then you're like, oh shit, I need to call this Joel Staley guy. This has gotten far enough.
Yeah, we're code red now, right?
Yeah. So those are the clients that do come in and attack it and get the results. And I mean, honestly, that's who we like to work with.
Yeah, and I was a client of yours, and it changed my life. And even when I fall off the wagon, now I've got the tools that I can use now to get myself back. And so let's dive into fasting. So there's all these diets out there. There's keto. There's a variety. What is the difference? What sets fasting apart from everything that's out there?
So I was a non-believer for a long time too. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a quick story. Back in my Navy days, I was going to get a tattoo, and one of the guys giving another sailor a tattoo was talking to another guy, and he had a little belly on him, nothing crazy. But of course, I was like in my prime, 18-year-old, hormones. I lift weights, try to eat clean to like get the girls or whatever. And I just heard him say to someone else, he's like, yeah, anytime my belly gets too big, I just do a fast. And I remember thinking, what an idiot. This guy doesn't know anything. Don't you know you need to have protein every couple hours or your muscles are going to eat themselves? Don't you know you're going to go in starvation mode, and that's so unhealthy? You need to fuel your body constantly. And looking back now, it wasn't until 10 years later where I started going down the rabbit hole of fasting and seeing that, much like almost everything in this world these days, diet and exercise has just been massively overcomplicated, and people want us to consume. That's why we're supposed to eat every 2 hours of the day and have all the protein shakes and all the supplements in the world, when really, just like meditation or most things in life, less is more. And if you can just take a break from constantly feeding yourself all the time, your body will do what it's supposed to do and heal itself, whether that be through losing fat or anti-cancer benefits or autophagy or cell rejuvenation, even like neuro benefits in your brain. It's crazy. So tons of benefits. I was just as floored as anybody to be like, man, that old kooky tattoo parlor guy was actually onto something all those years ago. But it really is a game changer, and it is something that's sustainable because you don't have to be perfect on it. You work it in when you can. And then if you have a client meeting or families in town or it's the holidays, just know that live your life right now, eat the food, enjoy yourself. It's not going to be a chicken and broccoli type of weekend. And then come when you're super busy at work or you have some downtime, you work the fast in, and it's a balance.
Yeah, and I know you compete professionally, and I guess there's a lot of people out there that say, well, the only way you can compete professionally in what you do is you've got to load up on the protein and do all this stuff. And you're actually implementing the fasting. And I think the fear around that is, well, if you fast, you're going to lose muscle. Can you share a little bit about why that's a myth?
Well, I competed 4 times. The first 3 times, I didn't win. I came close a couple times, but each time after my 12 weeks of hardcore dieting, I'd blow up and gain all the weight right back within a week or 2. And then it wasn't until the 4th year of competing where I had a bachelor party a few weeks prior to the show. So I was like, well, I'm not going to be the guy just drinking water and like eating vegetables and salads at this bachelor party in Arizona. I'm going to go hard in the paint. And then hopefully I can just crank it up to a 10 when I come back. And that's how I kind of dabbled into fasting. And that was the first show that I won first place. I took the entire show. And just being backstage and hearing other competitors saying, man, I can't wait to have that first beer. It's been 12 weeks or 16 weeks. And I'm thinking like 2.5 weeks ago, I was getting after it. Like, and here I am winning the show. That's when it really clicked of like, oh, this is some powerful stuff right here. And it's something that not a lot of people are talking about.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, and, you know, kind of people talk about fasting and it's kind of like this taboo thing, and, you know, not eating, or you really starving yourself. And I think a lot of that, you kind of start out like mental health and mindset, right? So a lot of us, especially our age and maybe a little bit older, you know, probably grew up in that time where the government provided us this food pyramid. And if you remember, on the bottom of the food pyramid is like cereal, bread, you know, all these other things. And I remember every morning my parents getting up and saying, all right, you need a bowl of cereal. Okay, you're still hungry, get you another bowl of cereal. And we grew up with it in that mindset of this is how it was to be healthy, you know, calories in, calories out, those type of things. But it all started with a base on a food pyramid of bread. And so how did we go from there to something like fasting? And fasting's been around for a long time, and now it's getting more attention. Why do you think nobody really talked about it or talks about it today?
Well, this is where I lose you, Jeremy, because I'm fully convinced that there are powers that be that want us sick and fat and on medications and unhappy and dependent on them, and they don't want to give us the right info.
Yeah, I think we're riding on the same train. So, you know, sick people are easier to control, right?
Right. Sick, dependent, buying their medications, unhappy. And then if you can sell happiness in a pill now, if you can make people unhappy and then sell the cure in pill form, then sounds like a pretty sweet business model to me.
Yeah. So you look at fasting, and fasting is one of those things that it does require some mindset, right?
It does. And I think no one talks about fasting because fasting is almost impossible to monetize. You could definitely argue I've monetized it. However, I mean, I'm telling people what the answer is right now: 48, 72s, longer fast. What we monetize is the community that's doing it with you, the support, the accountability coaches, the mindset coach, and the infrastructure to actually see it through and become a habit for you. Fasting's always been free. You can do it, take it, run with it. However, I've just seen if people don't have skin in the game and a support system holding them accountable for those first couple of weeks, it's just the next thing that they dip their toe in and place all the blame on. It didn't work.
Yeah, they don't see it out to completion. And your program, if it hasn't changed, is a 12-week program. So I know that on average, to form a habit on something, it takes about 66 days. So if you're just doing it for 6-7 days, first of all, you're not going to see a lot of benefits. Although with fasting, you do see a lot of benefits in that first week or two. Yeah. But you don't see the opportunity unless you stick to it, and that having that community is really important. And so tell us about the community. Tell us about what people might expect if they were to sign up with your program.
Sure. So we tend to work with fathers for the most part. Now, I would say that it's probably 20% women because wives want to come in on it. They don't like when their husband loses all the weight and looks great and is happy, and then they're still stuck doing the Weight Watchers or whatever. So we do work with some wives and whatnot. But it's 12 weeks. You have coaching by me. You have your own accountability coach who's checking in with you throughout the week, helping you navigate. It's completely customized. No one's doing the same thing. However, if you want to do a 48-hour fast, you could post in the group and say, hey, I'm doing a 48-hour fast. I need some accountability. Start a micro group within the bigger group just to hold each other accountable. We have Dallas, who's our mindset coach, who does trainings. He's been an awesome addition to the team. We do weekly check-ins, make sure you're tracking along the goals that we set for you on your onboarding call. Yeah, it's really customized workouts, everything you could possibly need to hit the goals that we set up for you on our initial call.
Yeah, Johnny was my coach, and I kind of knew what I was getting into, but I didn't. And I was thinking like 16/8 or OMADs, or which, I made that part of the program. Yet I come in, Johnny's like, are you ready? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, all right, 48, 48, 48.
He's like, you're eating 3 times this week.
Right. And I didn't know what to think. And it was a challenging week because there are some physical things that happen. Some of those things where you're detoxing, or, I attempted to eat cleaner. And so, and you provided us with information for supplements and other things to help us through that. Having that mindset coach to say, hey, these are the things that are coming. Here's how you can anticipate it. Here's how you can work through it. I found that to be really powerful. But there's guys that were going like 96 and over 100 and doing some really just crazy stuff. And you could just tell, what was awesome about it is you kind of watch the people as they went through the program, and you'd see them like 50, 60 pounds heavier at the beginning than they were at the end. I mean, it's life-changing.
And no one comes in thinking they can do like a 5-day fast. But what's crazy is once you get out of your own head and you see what other people are doing, and you're pushed by the community and get out of your own mental space, and you actually put the rubber to the road, you're like, oh, wow, I guess I am capable of more than I thought. I would have never thought I could do this. I hear that from every single client we've ever worked with, which is we're about 5 clients short of 1,000 at this point. Every single one says, like, that's why we don't talk about the long fast on the initial call, is because just those limiting beliefs are what crush people. But it's just like anything else, starting to do cardio or working out or cold calling or posting content on social media, anything, all those things suck at first. And then about a week or 2 weeks in, you find your groove, you see the results, and you're like, oh, this isn't so bad, until you actually ingrain it as a habit and you value it. So fasting's no different.
Yeah. And I think a lot of what you said, it's a lot of ego that you got to get past, and it's a lot of mindset. And if you could work on that and get past your own self, it's really amazing what your body can do. And I know for me, the results were, not a lot of people knew that I struggled with IBS, and it had been a struggle since like 2012 until I did the fasting program. And I very rarely now, even though I'm not doing the fast that I was then, in that time, it essentially healed my body.
Yeah. And
which is amazing. I mean, there's just weird things, like I'd have like a skin tag at the beginning, and the skin tag like fell off. Mm-hmm. It's really strange what happens when your body starts repairing itself, and it's amazing. And even when you get done, having the amazing tools just to be able to go back to, maybe it's not you're doing the long fast all the time. I'm doing a 48-hour once a month, just kind of clean up, and then I do 16/8. And I just watched now. The other thing was it created the habit of eating cleaner. It was hard. I know you promote, you can have a drink and a beer. I always found it harder to fast when I had a drink or a beer, especially on the fasting day. And so it forced me to look at my food and what I drank, and it's made changes even now. So I'll look and make better choices on menu options and things like that. So it's not just the weight loss you get, but it's also just making better decisions for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, you hear from people all the time that they go on their lean meats or meats and vegetables, and they're like, all right, I'm eating clean. This is healthy. And going back to our point earlier, like, your vegetables are covered with herbicides and pesticides and all this stuff, nitrates in the meat to keep it a certain color and fresh and long enough at the supermarket. So giving your body some time to actually heal itself and burn the fat that's its whole purpose, is to be there. When you're not eating, you burn the fat for fuel. Just getting all that poison out of your system for a little bit, it goes a very long way, and you'll feel a whole lot better. And you don't have to be super crazy about your diet, because when you are eating, you know that you're going to cleanse your body later on and detox it anyway. So you get to let off the reins a little bit.
Cool. So Joel, if somebody hears this today in my audience and they're thinking, hey, this is for me, or I want to get more information, how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, go ahead and I would just honestly add me on Facebook. You can go to my website, but it's ClickFunnels, so it's like dad's dash free dash. So just add me, Joel Staley, on Facebook. Send me a message. Tell me what you're working on as far as your health and fitness goals. I can give you any advice, and if you are fit, we can hop on a call and discuss how our program works and see if it'd be a fit for you. So it's just Joel Staley on Facebook or Joel Staley Fitness on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, Joel, thank you for taking the time today, and I appreciate you. And I know I've shared with you outside of this. Thank you for the changes you've helped make in my life, and I know you can make in others.
Of course, brother. Always happy to see you guys succeed.
Thank you for listening to the Survive, Scale, Soar podcast. If you heard something that made a difference in your life today, share it with someone that might benefit, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Learn more about the host of this podcast and coaching services offered by Red Hawk Coaching by visiting www.redhawkcoaching.com.